Sometimes when I read comic books, I often question how villains sometimes acquire an overabundance of abandoned safe houses alongside crazy gear and weaponry. But alongside this, I often question, where do the villains hire the henchmen? I can't imagine there's a job site like Indeed for where to pick the best criminal employee with an outstanding criminal resume. But I guess that's just one of those things that's just best left unsolved. However, recently something about the subject of a certain henchman in Gotham came to my attention. And this henchman has worked for the likes of the Joker, Two-Face, the Riddler, the Penguin, and even the likes of Kite Man. And what every single villain in Gotham came to an agreement over was that this one man was the single worst henchman in all of existence. And that man is the legendary Newt Brody. Starting the story with an interviewer asking several villains who exactly the famous Newt Brody is. Starting with Harley Quinn discussing how back in her early career with the Joker, they were both hired by a shady congressman to gas a voting booth. And one of the henchmen who tagged along in charge of the Joker gas was Newt Brody. However, when the day came to enact the plan, Newt Brody wasn't even there, instead just waiting in the car. Meanwhile, Batman and Robin crashed through the upper balcony window to stop Harley and the Joker, but Harley came prepared with a remote that could level the whole building. But while trying to make a getaway, Robin would jump in her way, and Newt Brody would even show up to play the hero. However, upon swinging his sign, he would accidentally hit Harley in the face, knocking her out. And when Harley would come to, she'd see the Joker shooting Newt Brody over and over while Batman struggled to hold Joker down. However, this wasn't the end of Newt Brody, as the Joker must have had some poor aim that night, because after Newt recovered, he'd end up working for Kite Man, accidentally getting him tangled in a tree, along with even freezing Mr. Freeze with his own freeze gun, slowly building a reputation as the worst henchman. A long time after this, Newt Brody would find work under the Mad Hatter to his regret. And Newt Brody had one simple job that night. It was to be the dormouse of Mad Hatter's gang, providing the lookout for any capes. However, Newt being Newt, he would fall asleep 5 minutes in and everyone would end up in cuffs, as Hatter says that they all would have killed Newt Brody if not for the chains. After this, the interviewer listens to Riddler's run with the infamous Newt Brody, where Riddler had devised one of the deadliest puzzles to ever be created in hopes to kill Arkham doctors who refused to give Riddler a clean bill of mental health. But the Riddler's only mistake that night was hiring Newt Brody, as the Riddler thought he was the only one who knew how to defuse the puzzle. But to the Riddler's surprise, Batman would pounce on Newt Brody, demanding the code, to which Newt would say 7982, giving Batman ample time to defuse the puzzle, while Newt would explain to the Riddler that he found a paper with a code on it while hanging up his jacket. So the two would look at each other in silence until the Riddler would start beating on Newt with his cane, later on wishing he killed Newt Brody for what he did. But sadly, Poison Ivy would beat the Riddler to it, as Ivy believes without question that Newt Brody did in fact die under her employment. Because while Ivy had been working on a plant that could level Gotham in its entirety, one night while Newt Brody was on guard duty, he ended up toasting some bread for too long and the fire spread throughout the greenhouse, effectively killing all of Ivy's plants. So Ivy didn't cry, she didn't scream, or even say anything. She just kissed Newt Brody, and Newt died from her poison that night, with Ivy even saying that no one could ever come back from that. Or so she thought, as it's revealed that the Bat family had been playing the role of Newt Brody all this time, sabotaging each and every villain's crazy plans. While they would even recall how painful things were, like the Joker's bullets or the Riddler's cane, but sadly the Newt Brody persona would have to end because Newt's become too well known within the masses. However, there's one final Bat family member who still hasn't played Newt Brody, and that'd be Damian, as he tells the family to call him Newt Brody Jr., ending the story. I hope you guys like this story, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and as always, I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Oh, and by the way, the villains get their abandoned warehouses from a dude named the Broker, who buys up land and sells it to strictly villains, and he also hates Robin for some reason, so there's that.